Hey everybody, Cam Capital here with another video for you guys on April 10th, Saturday. So I put out less videos this week, trying to figure out some new things to do for the channel to increase, viewership, subscriber count, all that good stuff. As you know, view counts dropped the last couple weeks. I think that's partly, changes on YouTube's end with their algorithm. It's much more search now. So I think going forward, a better idea would be to be more concentrated on each specific video, maybe 1 to 2 stocks at most. And so in this video, we're going to talk about Nano Dimensions NNDM. Got a comment from Scott if I could take a look at it, and I said I would, so here it is for this upcoming week. We'll start with Yahoo Finance, just to highlight their fundamentals, because they are pretty whack and not typical. So Nano Dimension here, if I look in here, market cap 1.9 billion. Kind of average stuff, like their take right here: bullish, downturn, short, mid, long term, and then their news plays. So one thing with their recent news plays in the last week is they basically have been shuffling up a ton of their board, their executive positions, and we can partly talk about that here in a second too. But if we go to the statistics, look at their fundamentals. Like I said, with that huge market cap, 1.9 billion. Really outlandish considering here their revenues are trailing 12 months. Their revenue for the last year was 3.4 million. So huge disconnect there, obviously, and their reasoning for that excuse, if you will, is the pandemic, and then I think that's kind of a BS excuse. As their sales basically drop. So they do additive manufacturing, so 3D printing, so the 3D printing machine for basically industrial scale. And they sold like 27 Dragonfly units in 2019 and only 4 last year. But obviously a huge price increase. We'll see that when we get to the chart here. But shares outstanding 248 million, float 246, shares short 14 million, so 5.6% short. And that amount short has increased from 12.7 to 14 in the last month. And partly, with the float, pretty high float for a lower price company. Partly that is they've issued a lot of shares recently, and we'll see that when we look at their chart. But they've raised $670 million to go after acquisition targets, because what they're doing right now as a company has not been successful, obviously, from a revenue standpoint. So they're going to look at acquiring other companies to improve the fundamentals of their own. So if we hop over now to Thinkorswim, let's start here on the 5-minute chart. So 8.59 high on Monday, closed at 782. So about a 6% move lower for the week on NNDM. Pretty concentrated volume here for 5-minute chart around that 780, basically where we closed at. So range tightened up Thursday, Friday. Basically 30 cent range each Thursday and Friday, around that 780 level. So if we hop out we'll go to the weekly first, just so you can see the fibs in total. So the red fibs here from the high 33.5 down to 51 cents. The blue, when we go into year, you'll see that it's a low to high on the year. But if you go out to the 10-year, it goes up to like 99 bucks. But here, even if you see here, like the volume for this candle back in 2018 was 27,000 compared to this last year 560 million. So everything's going to be concentrated over here on the weekly, and we'll see that here on the volume side of things. So as you can see, huge move in the last year up. Basically, you can say from 51 cents to 789. So that's a little over 30 times move. Big melt up in the last quarter of the year. News came out that ARK Investments and Cathie Wood had bought a load of shares, and then hype mania went crazy on NNDM. It was all over YouTube for several weeks back in October and November, and basically that whole quarter. But a ton of people put out videos on it, got to rise up, and even while it was rising here, so most of these red candles were the pullbacks. They were issuing shares, so they're raising money. They've been raising money. That's kind of slowed down here in the last month, but still had this. When something goes up this fast, it's going to pull back. It's just as fast. So pulled back and then basically bounced off the 38.2 and 78.6, here on the weekly, that coincides right at the 50 EMA. So the 50-week EMA, we bounced right off that. Buyers came in, really supported that 650. 650 was low, but really the $7 area is where the buyers came in, supported. Couldn't reclaim the moving averages. You'll see that better on the daily. And in the last 2 weeks, range is really tightened. So so this week here, beginning of March, 1139 to 778, compared to this last week, 855, 762. Prior week, 906, 786. So we are tightening now in terms of volatility for NNDM, which is something you like to see to cause breakout moves, right? So if you're a believer in Mike Minervini's VCP patterns, you like to see that volume shrink and the range decrease, looking for that pattern to break out, whether that's higher or lower. And here, it does look to me that the 786.38, so between 750, 724, could be an area of a reversal. And corresponding to that too is we have quite a bit of volume, in the upper sevens. So that shows here on the weekly. When we go to the daily, it actually kind of disappears and goes lower, down into the $7 mark. So we could have some variability, right? So these fib levels are not an exact to the cent level. It's an area to watch. And so really, we had on the original move up, we pushed in this area, pulled back on it, right? And then basically get a double top at the area, and then we get high volume, buying volume pushes us through it, and so you basically expect it to come back down, right? So you're looking to consolidated areas where in the past there was prior support and resistance, and that's essentially where we're at right now. Could we move lower in the this next week or the next few days? Yeah, of course. We still could move lower into this consolidated area, as there is volume there, as we'll see on the daily. On the weekly, right now, the weekly would show us we're sitting right at that area of high volume. So a move either way, higher or lower, could happen quickly, right? So buyers and sellers both like to get in at areas of high volume, and that's basically where we're at right now. So if we go to the daily, right, so you just get a better look at the pattern. So here on the daily, the bounce came in at the 200 EMA, and you see both, wick 2 days back to back where we wicked through the 78 and 38. So buyers really held that level, and you can see here the first day obviously selling. Sellers tried to knock it through that level, couldn't get it done. The next day, buyers came in and pushed us back over it, right? So both these candles close above, which is a good thing you like to see. And then pretty strong reversal signal here too, right? So you basically get the hammer. The next day, you get the push up, basically close right back at the high, and then next day gap up, right? So wasn't over a weekend, as in it's just the next day you got gap up, immediately go. So you kind of get this hammer and then kicker higher. And then also just pattern wise too, if you're a wave theory guy, you got wave 1, wave 2 pullback, wave 3 now, but slope of those waves is decreasing, right? So we are calming down, and just in the last week alone, you essentially have a double bottom here in the 760s, right? Just basically on top of the 78.6, and we do still have this rising 200 EMA coming up through the 720s. Probably will get up into the 750s maybe by the end of this week, if not into the next week. But even here still, right? So really we've respected this 9 EMA moving down on the downtrend. We got this one day where we gapped up. Sellers came in, pushed it really hard, right? So we get a doji play here. So I mean, really off this signal, this would look like a bullish move, but obviously patterns don't work 100% of the time, and so you basically got a fake out, and we sold off that big red candle, inside candle, tried to move higher, lower volume on Friday, couldn't push this up higher, but you see here as we zoom out, that really didn't help there, I apologize. But you see here what I'm saying with the volume. So here it's showing the volume's more concentrated in the 850s and down to $7, and we're kind of sitting in an area where there is less volume. So right, so that's what I mean, where we could poke lower, maybe even run down to this 200 EMA if the news doesn't come out. Say we do get some strong news catalyst for a bullish sentiment, right? We could push back into this 880 870 level, and then we're going to need volume to get over that because that's where the high volume's at. But still, that'd be basically from the close, $1 move on that, 780. That's what, 12-13%. So that's pretty solid move for a quick quick scalp. I don't think NNDM right now is a long-term hold, unless you truly believe that they are going to get an acquisition, and they rightfully could. I don't have all information, and I don't really hold anything long-term. I'm more the chart trader, daily, intraday time frame. But here on the daily right now, this could be an area to look to find a buy or sell signal, in my eyes, right? So we get a break below these fibs, or we get a sell signal in this upcoming week. That could be an area to enter to go short. We get a buy signal in the hold of these fibs. That would be an area for me to go long into, with the expectations that we could push back up into this 8.8 level before there's overhead resistance. So that's what I got for you guys on NNDM. Could be an interesting week if they do put out any announcements, following their new executive change. A lot of companies like to do that, shuffle their board, put out some news, reward themselves with that news catalyst, ride that momentum, or at least generate momentum going forward. And that could be something that NNDM will do. So that's what I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything else I can do for you guys, or just improve these videos, please let me know in the comments. I really do appreciate your guys' feedback and take time to read them and improve as I can provide a service going forward. So hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the next one.